Welcome to episode 5 of the Inspire Creator series. As a new technology startup, we reached out to creators from across the UK to share our product idea and build new relationships. Today, we meet Holly Abigail, creator, blogger, model, and eco-friendly advocate. Holly is a natural community builder and leader across the London Girl Network, Sustainable Sisters, and Girl Dinners. How's your day been so far?
It's good, yeah. I tried to go see my granddad in hospital, but the visiting hours, we got them wrong, so couldn't go see him, but it's all good.
Oh, that's such a shame. Are you going to be able to get to go back to later today, or is it going to be like a weekend thing?
Yeah, we go check on him.
Okay. Oh, bless him. I hope he's doing all right.
Thank you.
My grandma was in a home a while back, and if we didn't go, hell to pay. She was pretty feisty. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to connect today. Really appreciate it. Like on behalf of myself and the team, it's very, very nice of you to respond to our email.
Nice. Love what you're doing.
Cool. So I guess to begin with, I'll tell you a little bit about kind of how we came to be here, and then we can get straight in. So for context, we had this idea a while back to build, I guess, a new technology. Have you ever had a moment when you're like watching TV and someone's wearing like an outfit you like, and you're kind of like, I wish I could just access that thing?
Yeah, all the time. I'm like, I don't know what you're selling, but what are you wearing?
So that started happening to me. And I started searching, and one of the guys on the team, he told me years ago when we first met, he's like, when you have a problem, that's probably the beginnings of like an idea, like a real idea. And then we found all these blogs where like people were like posting pictures of outfits from TV shows, and other people were helping them find it. And we were like, okay, maybe there's something-ish here. So yeah, we got together, started working on it, and then we realized even if we build it, no one knows who we are, so we might need some help. When you replied, it was kind of like, oh, amazing, thank you so much.
Good.
Cool. Okay, so to begin, I'd love to understand a little about you. I guess if I was to ask you, what would someone need to understand to get a sense for who you are, and I guess what's important to you? What kind of what would you say to that?
Well, there's many parts to me. That's probably the first thing I'd say. I wear many hats. So I'm 26, I'm from Milton Keynes, and I'm a blogger, content creator, model. I do lots of other things as well, but I wouldn't say they are aiming towards my career. They're just things that I do. But I run quite a lot of pages. So there's my personal one. I'm a community manager for London Girl Network, which is a part of City Girl Network. And if you haven't heard of that, it's a women's community. So we run like events and meetups, and we're just there generally for if someone moved to London, then they would have people to reach out to and say, oh, where can I find this? Does anyone want to come shopping with me, or whatever it is, big or small.
That's so cool.
Yeah, helps people find a home in their city essentially. So that's quite a big part. Sorry. And then I do lots of other things. I'm proper eco-friendly, and that's one of like my biggest sort of brand values, is that everything I do, I want to be sustainable, eco-friendly, healthy, all about like a natural lifestyle. I'm quite against like plastic surgery and things like that, single-use plastic, anything that's damaging to the planet or health, then I'm like, no, stay away. I'll do the opposite.
Yeah.
But so I run the Sustainable Sisters with one of my best friends, who even after we started the page, I didn't even realise that I had actually been the reason that she became a vegan. So that was really cool.
Wow.
And then,
how did you feel when you found out?
Amazing, to be fair, because I had no idea. I literally just thought, I don't know, it was a very long time ago. So I was like, I just thought things happened, and, we're a whole country apart. So I didn't think I would make that impact, but apparently I did. So
yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but run lots of different things. Recently started Girl Dinners, and always looking for new ventures. Yeah. Women of many hats.
Amazing. I feel like, I feel like you sound like you're so just talented at like finding captivating ideas and building communities around them.
Yeah, that's what I love. Yeah, love community.
Um, on your mention of being eco-friendly and focusing on sustainability, yeah, I might get your advice later on that, because we've started kind of building a base product. And one of the things we love is to make sure that when people use it, let's say your priority is you want to, let's say, only buy or only see pre-loved goods pop up. So, you've seen something on social media, but you only want pre-loved options. We're currently reaching out to like the Vinted, the eBays, the Dpops to see if we can have all of those options feed in. And then that way it's kind of a no-brainer. You can select from those options as opposed to having to dig and dig and dig for them.
Yeah, that'd be really, really good. I'm sure there's some way that could be set up. If someone wanted that red dress that Miliquinos is wearing, here's some alternatives.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, that'd be really, really good.
Exactly. That's the goal. So with all these communities that you're building, I'm kind of wondering, can you remember the first one? Like when this started?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I created by myself was probably the Sustainable Sisters. London Girl is part of Sister Girl, so that's a much bigger platform. The founder of that is Pippa Moyle, and her sister Charlotte lives here in MK. They're both from Milton Keynes. So connected with Charlotte, and then she wanted me to be the community manager for London. So that came second. And then Girl Dinners is very, very recent, in the sort of last 2 months, I think. Yeah.
Wow. And can you by any chance recall, I guess, the drivers, like what it was about it that led you to just kind of start?
I think it was a bit of a love-hate for those sort of pages. I really loved what they were doing, what they were putting out there. But I mean, if you're familiar with the term of greenwashing, is that a lot of them were doing that, sort of kind of just building a community or some sort of platform where they could make money from people being sustainable and all. Yeah, social media, we need to monetize everything we do, but I just didn't want that. I wanted like a passion project, passion page where I could just post everything I thought and felt about it, and wanted to put across that no one has to do everything. You can't do everything to save the planet, but you can do your part and you can do little bits here and there. And I just wanted to tell everyone about it, to be honest. I was just like, that last week I was making shampoo out of conkers. You can do this too. So yeah, it's mainly passion.
And with these communities, have you had the opportunity to kind of connect with the people that are kind of subscribing to them and part of them, and what's that been like?
Yeah, I'd say with Girl Dinners, I mean, it just brings all the foodies together, which is everyone. Everyone's a foodie. Everyone loves food, So especially here in Milton Keynes, we love networking. We love just eating and drinking and talking rubbish to each other. So that's definitely brought me closer to some creators right here. London Girl, I mean, yes, opened so many doors in different ways. And then with the Sustainable Sisters, it's a very small page, and I'm hoping to grow it when I've got a bit more time to focus into it. But already I do get people reaching out or saying, I saw that thing you did last week. Can you teach me how to do that? Like, because I watched your videos, but maybe I want to know more, which is really good feedback, because then I can go, okay, maybe I need to explain a bit more in the videos or create a bit more. So yeah, definitely connecting a lot more.
And these communities that you're building, are they your full-time occupation, or do you part this with other work you do as an income stream?
Yeah, they are on the side, definitely. Most of them are passion projects, and a lot of them aren't monetized yet. There's not many ways for me to make money where they are at the moment, even though they will get there. But because they're out of passion, I'm kind of not too bothered. They're there, they're doing their thing, and I'll come back to them and keep working on them. My main job or income is I run a talent agency for local talent here in Milton Keynes and get them bookings in different venues and so on.
Right. And how do you find balancing kind of the content creation for the communities and then kind of your main source of income?
I think they work really well together, just because I am not in a bad way, but I'm very well connected here, and and I love to chat to people anyway. I'm always getting to know more people, so I think they work really well in no matter where I am. If I'm at a PR event for Boohoo or whatever, I'm finding the musicians in the room or finding the venue owners, so they can always connect when it comes to networking. Content creation obviously comes in hand with the agency, because I haven't got to hire anyone to do any of the marketing, PR, creation, anything. I just go and do it myself. So yeah, they definitely balance out really, really well, and I can just do both simultaneously.
That is so good that you found a synergy between all of these things. Sometimes when I jump on these calls, that like when the topic of like balancing being a creator with day work comes in, sometimes there isn't that balance. Sometimes it's kind of like, yep, you got to find an extra 4 hours to take these photos, edit this content. I'm really happy. It sounds cheesy. I'm really happy for you.
Me too, because it wasn't always this way. Definitely wasn't always this way.
And I guess how would you like? What are your priorities like moving forward? Is it about sustaining these communities and keeping them as passion projects, or do you have maybe other initiatives you're also kind of working on?
Yeah, the Sustainable Sisters, I'd really love to grow into the event side. So we actually have and hold eco-friendly events that bring those sort of communities together. Mm-hmm. There is a few festivals out there that do similar things, but I wouldn't say a lot of them are well known, or they kind of, the way they market it themselves is that it's only vegans, and I'd actually really love to have the sort of events where people come with the interest of being eco-friendly, whether they're an vegan, vegetarian, or a massive meat eater, which the two don't always, go together. But I'd like to have it there for people that are just interested in doing their part, and that's kind of the main basis of it. So event side, definitely want to move that along further. Girl dinners, I think, apart from like PR sort of collabing, I think that's kind of the limit for it now. But we do have some ideas of what we could do.
I love what you're doing with so just to confirm, Girl Dinners was the community where if you're from outside of London, you can meet new people and connect.
That's London.
Or no, that's foodies. London. Okay, cool.
So Girl Dinners, there's 4 creators from Milton Keynes, and we met because I didn't have friends that did creation, and I wanted to get to know them. I had a PR invite for 8 people, and I was like, I don't have 8 friends that would want to do this. So I reached out to a bunch of people in Milton Keynes and was like, do content creation. Do you want to come for dinner, get to know each other? And then one of them just said, I wish we could do this every week. And then I was like, oh, we can. So we just kind of thought it.
Did you, when you were kind of building these communities out, did you kind of have to build the skill sets from scratch, or do you have someone that could guide you, that was able to guide you through that process?
I think for some of them it was kind of, we've all got our own skills that we put together, but then the ones that I do by myself is just the skills that I know already. And when I do need help, I've got creative friends now that I can kind of say, oh, what do you think about this, or what forum do you use? Like I do have a lot of people around me, thankfully, that do the same thing. Because it's a small town, to be quite honest, and a lot of people do content creation, which is really, really nice. And although it can feel like competition, we are a massive community. So yeah, I'd say just not using the people around you, but reaching out to the people around you. But most of the skills, yes, I did have,
It's kind of interesting how once you kind of enter into that space, how quickly your network grows, but like network of like people who can assist you with these kinds of things,
Yeah.
I'm finding, even through just these discussions, and also, is it just me, or are creators really happy to help each other with different projects?
They are. Some are. I would say it can be cliquey. You can get a few that are very lone wolf, and no one's coming for them. Yeah. No one's going to talk to them because they just don't reach out, and they will reject you if you reach out to them, or they're very like, this is my content, this is what I do, but I have a life, and I'm not really interested in making friends in this field. That's just my job. And then you have the creators that it's kind of their whole lifestyle, and they've probably fallen into content creation very naturally and organically, and it's just how they're living their life. It's not a job, just a job, it's not just an income. So I think you get 2 types, or many types, but they're the 2 types I often come along.
And I guess what I want to ask is like, how would you describe yourself? Like one of the 2 types, or is there other categories in your view?
I'd say, yeah, lifestyle. It's complete lifestyle. If I had to not post for a week, it wouldn't be the end of the world to me. Some people have got a strict regimen, and I just personally wouldn't be able to keep up with that. It would be stress, and then there would be no fun in it. Like, I love creating content. I did photography in college, and I even loved it from school. I just love creating and capturing memories. That was my main reason for starting photography, is that I was just capturing all the memories of my life. And then, before actual good apps existed, you would just put them together as some weird show reel of my weekend with the girls, like whatever it was. So it was very organic for me, and it's just my lifestyle, really.
I think as you say that, I'm remembering when Facebook first came out, and just the amount of hours spent cataloging photo galleries on Facebook. So I was watching a YouTube video this morning that was talking about the kind of different algorithms on social platforms, and how if you're a creator, for example, that loves photography, it may almost kind of be a conflict of interest because the algorithms are kind of optimizing towards video, and ultimately the point of the YouTube video was to highlight that for some creators it's like an art form, and for others it is like that kind of just grow. How do you kind of see that, and have you had to change your preferences in how you create content to kind of, I guess, cater to the way these algorithms are working?
Yes. I think everyone tries to kind of have that phase where they're like, I want my feed to look really aesthetically pleasing, and I'm only going to use grayscale photos and covers and things. Like, and we all love that sort of look, but I don't think it resonates with anyone, personally, unless you're just looking at that person's page for style ideas and things. There's certain pages where it really, really works because you just want to go, oh, I love that outfit, and click on it. But then there's other people you go to because you genuinely know that they have good advice on what they're talking about, or will show things that they really trust and really actually do use, and they haven't just been gifting it. So I think when it comes to actually creating content, I think more about how it's going to resonate with people, help people, and how it's actually the right content for my audience rather than how it looks. Because you do get very caught up in like, oh, I need it a certain way to grow. But I just think being yourself at the end of the day is the best platform, the best thing to do, on your platform, because no one's going to come to your page for you if it's not reflecting you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a mess, and people know that. And then they come to my page and it looks a mess, but that's fine, because once they get scrolling, they see each and everything that I've done. But if it was just a bunch of black photos, they'd be like, oh, boring, turn off.
I don't know whether you meant to phrase it this way or not, but when you said being you is the best platform, that was awesome. That is really true. Because you're so right. No one really. So, context. This week on our Instagram, we started launching our first posts, and I'm one of those annoying people that's like, "Oh God, it's gonna look," But you're so right. Unless someone's actually going to it and spending like more than 3 seconds, no one cares. It's just the feed.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be the right.
9 times out of 10,
so when you're
going to your profile, they'll just see it in their regular feed. So how your profile looks doesn't always really matter.
And even when they discover you now, because these algorithms are just trying to like get people to keep following more and more and more, no one's really even going to a profile to see if they like it. It's either coming up or not.
I do it every time I start a business, because I'm quite a little entrepreneur, and I do kind of start a little thing, and then I'm trialing and erroring, and then I'm like, oh no, scrap that, that's horrible. But I always do it. I always start, and I'm like, it's going to look this way. This is the brand. These are the colors. This is the text, and it's going to have this like pattern on the page. And then 4 or 5 posts in, when business starts getting going, and I've got random content of things that I need to post right now, and I haven't got time to do the in-between posts, I scrap it straight away. And I don't know why every single time I'm like, I need branding, because there's things that you can brand on, but I think that it doesn't need it. Your actual page, it doesn't really need to look like a website, because it's not a website.
So when you're creating, take me through that process. Like, are you just going day by day and getting inspired by things and being like, boom, or are you planning, or is it both, or like how's it work for you?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. A lot of the content, say like pictures of me or videos, come with me to so and so. That's all natural. Me going out with my friends, or it's a PR event. So I've been asked to attend and therefore can create content out of it, which is the whole idea behind the PR event, of course. But yeah, most of it is kind of natural life. Try to have a good balance between that as well, because I sometimes do find that if I'm not doing much in my personal life, it's just a page of ads, and I hate that look. I hate when someone's just ad. I want to know that someone's living a still, a real life still. So yeah, when I purposefully create content, again, it goes back to just finding something that would resonate with the audience is good advice and actually generally how I feel about something. But a lot of passion goes into it. Like, today I really want to do a makeover day, so I'm going to make a video on me having that, it's all quite natural.
And when you're, let's say, you wake up, you decide you're going to do a makeover day. Do you have like preset ways like of where you place your camera and like a part of, where you live, where you're like, cool, this is the spot I'm going to do it in? Or are you trying to mix it up? Or like, how does that work for you?
It's a bit of both. I think, again, I get into this mood where I'm like, I want it to look a certain way, and I'll pick a spot with a white wall, and that's me for like 4 or 5 videos. And then I get bored of it. So I'm like, well, my audience must be bored of it. So then I'll change and I'll just keep it natural. I'll just have all my rubbish on my bed behind me in the background and not care about it, because if you're actually watching the video to know about skincare, you're not going to care that I've got so-and-so on the bed, I think we overthink these things too much. Sometimes it's really nice to have a set background, but it's not always possible.
I feel like there's so much I could learn from you. So this is probably like, I walked around with my laptop. I'm like, this angle's probably like, YouTube videos will say you want like a V formation, blah, blah, blah. But really where I'm actually 90% of the day is in my kitchen on a little stool. And the thing in the background is my cooker. And it's not like the sexiest thing in the world, but I'm kind of like, God, it'd be just easier if I could just film from here. I think I'm going to do that now. Thank you.
Good. Just be natural. It's all people appreciate it. People want to know what your life's actually really like. People are very nosy, They don't come online to appreciate you. They come on and what are you doing? Where are you standing? And what's that in the background?
With you being a creator, do you think that helps with talent management? Like, is there like an extra layer of empathy that you can kind of bring?
Yeah.
That like leads to a competitor can't.
Yeah, definitely. I think with a lot of like the sort of level of my agency, they don't have any sort of brand manager or marketing team, and they try to do it themselves, which is great and it's still amazing efforts, but they haven't always got that skill, or that's not their focus. They need to be focused on making the money and getting the gigs booked in. And it does kind of just come later, or they'll use whatever post they've been given by the venue and so on, and therefore there's no branding. So you've got to kind of find that balance, I guess, back to what I was saying earlier about having too much branding and too little branding. So I think I have that one up sometimes. I'm like, I've got really nice videos of my artists, and you've got like Fred's video that was taken at the back of the stage or wherever, I think it can come across very professional in comparison because I have those skills. So I definitely think that's an advantage for me.
It's your edge. And because it sounds like you're comfortable with doing things like, kind of impromptu. What happens when you've just got nothing going on? I mean, that may not happen, by the way. I could just be like a boring person. That's a reflection of me. What do you do if you like, there's nothing really kicking that week? How do you approach that?
I mean, I've got ADHD, so I basically never stop. So I'm like crazy. And I've got a dog, and she's a husky, so she just needs walking 24/7. So I guess I just try to
photogenic.
If I ever do have a moment where I'm like, I have absolutely nothing to do, or the things that I can do can wait, I just like to sit face mask in the bath or walk the dog in the field for I'll walk for 3 hours sometimes without realizing, just because it's a nice sunny day and I just want to be outside. So I think self-care is the go-to.
That's a really good shout, actually. On a side note, massive ups for being a big walker. I love, it's not often that I hear someone say they can do 3 hours. I could easily punch out, I think on an average day, I'll probably do at least an hour and a half. Just walk through, especially, I don't know, is it green field, water, Is that a thing
Bit
for
of
you?
both, yeah. We've got really nice
Bit of both?
cow fields around the back of my house, well, not far from my house. And they go
Yeah.
on for miles, and you've got like cows, sheep, horses, cows, sheep, horses, constantly, which isn't great when you have a husky because I'm constantly being pulled. But it's lovely. And before I had her, I would often go there and take photos of them and just kind of sit in the field. And you can just sit there, you know, they're not too closed off. They've got gates, so you can, you know, it's allowed to walk through there, but they're still paved, so you can avoid the usual on the grass.
Yeah. Good. That is a concern.
They're really nice.
Amazing. Yeah, and I guess for you, like when it comes to working with kind of from like a talent management side of things, I guess like what is it that draws you into that space? Is it kind of your background already and it is that synergy, or is there like another interest that kind of pulls you in that direction?
It's difficult. I think for a while I was like, I don't really know where I'm going with this. You know, it's just kind of happening. But once everyone else started to create content around me, I was like, oh, they're doing really well. Like I could do that. So I think it's slight competition without my mind actually thinking of it that way. That just drives me to do more. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely have a few goals in mind, and my ideal outcome would be is that I am kind of like a public figure, and then could use my platform for the best possible reasons, you know, and use it for a change and for good.
So I spoke with a creator yesterday, and she made a conscious decision to become a creator. And like it went from like someone saying, "Oh, you should be a creator," to a year later she did it. But when she did it, she went full steam because she spent like a whole year planning. For you, was it a conscious decision? Is it something that just happened? Is it something that's just happening?
Yeah, it did just happen. You know, I've been on Instagram since day dot, since the day it came out. I was like 13, 14 or something, and just posting. My first picture on Instagram, and you'll laugh at this, it was me and Ronald McDonald, because I worked at McDonald's at the time. So I was like,
nice, okay,
with this clown, and that was my first Instagram post. God knows why. But yeah, I just, you know, slowly got better. But I think my first collab, I was probably like 16 or 17 or something. And I 1000% thought it was a scam. I was like, there's no way you're going to send me this thing for free for a picture. And then they did. It happened. And then they put me on their website. And me being naive was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I'm on a website. Little did I know I should have charged for that a lot.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah, so little old me definitely fell into it. And then adult conscious me has consciously gone and become a more known creator and tried to develop my brand. Yeah.
Did you, I guess, when did you realize this was going to be an industry? Because I'm guessing at the time
it was not a thing. Yeah, it was not a thing then. I mean, when was that? Like 2013 or something? Maybe even before that. I don't know. But yeah, I think just before COVID was when I started to notice other people doing it and brands really reaching out to people. Rather than you having to be a model and being scouted by an agency, you could just email a brand and say, hey, do you want to send me some products and I'll do a video? So I think, 3-4 years ago, it was like, oh, massive eye-opener. Okay, I can monetize this.
Yeah, you know, you say that and it just reminds me of how recent this is all so new still.
Yeah, because like influencers have been around and we've been doing it, but it just didn't have a title, or it wasn't a respected, I don't think it still is, but it wasn't a respected job to have. It was kind of like, oh, you're a bitch with an iPhone, you know, like you just take photos of yourself all day. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad the term, from a terminology standpoint, it's gone from influencer to creator, because I think it actually more accurately reflects the whole community. That makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. I hate being called an influencer sometimes. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm influencing people, but I'm creating. So it feels like a more justifiable role that I can call myself.
Yeah, and also someone said something to me yesterday, which like I hadn't really thought of. If someone calls you an influencer, if you call yourself an influencer, you are assuming influence. You're kind of almost inferring you have a responsibility for what the community does, and that's absolutely not right.
100% that.
For you, because you do so much, honestly. Like I'm like, every time I want to go for a question, I'm like, just like 5,000 different.
That's my brain 24/7.
That's amazing. No, I'm so jealous of you. Gosh, what are you proud of? Like right now, like not just off the top.
I think my positivity. I think that's the most proud of thing, and kind of comes into a few different sections, but mainly just because I am me. I am always going to just be me. And no matter how many things that have kind of happened to me, or how many people will roll their eyes or maybe say, oh, you're not actually a creator, or, they just want to shut you down. There's so many people online and offline that want to shut you down as a person and make you feel so small. But I think through it all, that is my, bravest thing, is I'm always positive, and I always just don't care what you say. I don't care, like I'm just very, I don't know what you call it. I just brush it off, So I'd say a lot of people can't do that. So it definitely defines me as a person. People come to me for advice because they know that I'll have a lot of things to say. I'll look at different outcomes and I'll always make them feel better about it. So I love to be that person for other people, because I've definitely had a lot of times myself where I've just felt like I didn't have anyone to reach out to. So the positivity as a term, affects a lot of part of my life and a lot of my friends in a good way.
When did you? Has there ever been a moment, before I assume, where you realized that was, part of like your superpower?
Yeah, I don't know about an exact point, but there's definitely quite a few things where years and years ago, just coming into sort of like 18, 19 years old, that you lose all your school friends, and then you realise you haven't really got anyone with the same interests as you, and you start to make new ones, and then you're like, oh, that doesn't really work. And you really see who holds on because of you and how you affect their life, good or bad, and who just drops off because you no longer interest them, or you don't want to go partying anymore. So I think around that time was definitely like, okay, I have a really positive outcome on the people that have a positive outcome on me. Does that make sense? Help me find my place, and they helped me see who I was, and that wasn't what the other people were saying, I'm not explaining it very well, but in a roundabout.
No, you've explained it super clearly. For context, on our team, there's a guy called Nate, right? You'll meet him at some point, and he is just like, he's that friend that will just send you a voice message. He's in a park, he's been inspired by something, and he messages me, and he's like, mate, we've got time. He's like, don't pressure yourself, don't freak out, we've got time. And I'm like, what do you mean we've got time? He's like, we're going to be doing this till we're 80. We've got X amount of years to figure this out. It's going to be great. And I'm like, when your day just goes from there to there.
That's what I love, though. I love
so you're, they're just they're the best. Is it slightly weird question? Where is that coming from? Is that all you? Was that you as a kid? Is it like mum or dad? Like you see it coming through in you? Like how does that?
Yeah, I think, without being vain, I think it is me, because I haven't had that around me. Like I kind of needed to push that light out just to have that there, because everyone else, oh, what about this? Or don't get your hopes up, don't get too excited, or it's not a real career, you will never go anywhere with that. All this suppression of just do something normal, just go into a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. I've been the one person to go, nah, that's not me. I can't do that. I have to work for myself. I have to create something. I need to do something for a reason. Like I have, what's the word? Like I have a, I can't remember. Purpose, yeah. I have a purpose, and everyone does, and I just couldn't see that in my life. So I think, I've had to kind of be that light that wasn't there for me.
So what is your purpose now? Is that a fair question to ask?
Yeah, I guess I don't know, and I feel like I'll never know. And I think that's kind of like the special thing about it for everyone is, even if you think this is your purpose, it might not actually be. That could just be the road to your real purpose. And I think your purpose always changes. You know, when I was younger, my purpose might have been to be around for the people that didn't have anyone else. Now it's to be someone to turn to for a community, for a friend, whatever it is. And when I'm older, it might just be, I'm good at marketing and that's what I do because I do nothing else. You never know, like things can change constantly, but that's kind of the beauty of it. And I like to just be the positive person in the room. And if I had to pick a purpose, that would be it. Just to be positive.
So on that note, that question I just asked, is that a correct question? Like, the question I asked is like, it assumes there's a purpose. Maybe there isn't. Like, what would you ask someone, you know, to understand what drives them?
I don't know, I guess, because I would say, you know, you just never know. And I think everyone, in my opinion, does have a purpose, you know, even if they think they don't, or they don't want to have a purpose. It depends on each individual's situation. But I think if I was asking someone, I'd just say, what is your goal in life? You know, what do you want to do? What is the outcome you want to see? How do you want to see yourself living in so many years?
Okay, let's say it's 20, 30 years from now. You're looking back at the adventure that was your life. What's like on the top 3 list of things you've nailed?
I mean, up until this point, really hard to choose. Really, really hard to choose. I mean, I've worked with huge brands, and I do love that. So, creator-wise, I'd say that's my, you know, kind of like claim to fame is that I've been in a lot of rooms with a lot of cool people, and I've worked with really good brands, and I've done it out of passion and wholeheartedly, not just to make money or to be like, look at me wearing Vogue. Can't even wear Vogue. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you know, that's how out of it I am. But yeah, I think that's a really cool thing. Also, I've traveled so much. Like I've been to Fiji and worked in animal rescue centers. I've learned to dive, and you know, I've been to Costa Rica and worked in an animal rescue center. There's just so many different parts that I could be proud of. To be honest, I'm just proud that I have. I'm proud that I actually did go out and achieve it and didn't just say, one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do this. And then I'm like 70 and I'm like, I never did that thing. You know, so proudest moment, actually going out and doing all the proud things.
How did you end up working at an animal welfare rescue place? What was that?
So in college, everyone did their uni applications and so on. And I was just like, nah. I think I was one of the first years where they changed the law. So you had to be in education till you were 18. You didn't have to go to uni and so on. So I was just desperate to get out of college. I studied photography and learned that. I loved it and I loved creating, but I didn't want to work in a studio doing photography per someone else's brief and so on. So instead of uni applications, I just applied to a load of volunteering programs instead, and then went to Costa Rica, then went to Fiji, and then the year after that, I did a season in Magaluf. Very different.
I am so happy for you. That is awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing sometimes how, like, I find if we kind of just took our head out for a second and started looking for the things that we think would really like give us adventure. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's easy, but sometimes you can find it if you start looking for it. I guess that's my point.
Yeah. It's like, you know, when people talk about love and they're like, oh, when you stop looking for it, it comes. I think that just applies to everything in your life. Like you can manifest things, but if you just want it so bad and you're just doing everything you can to get it, kind of just, feel like it rejects from you because you're not doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Whereas when you just like love something and you just want it, it can just come along, but you have to keep your eyes open to grab that opportunity.
Another knowledge drop. You're so right, because when you're kind of fighting it for like that, it's quite possible that the energy is really you're fighting not to lose it.
Yeah.
Or to reduce.
Very spiritual.
Yeah. So, let's open that door though. So, manifesting is a thing for you. Like, you actively do it?
Yeah, definitely. I don't do the kind of sit there with a candle praying side of it. I don't even have time for that. Like, I ain't got time. I do it in everything I do. So because I really tried to do that side of it and then was like, I haven't got time for it, or it just feels weird and awkward. And then, being that unnatural doesn't feel like it's going to bring things to my natural life. So I kind of did it in the things that I was doing naturally. Like, I love to watch Netflix, and it's such a horrible habit to have, is to constantly watch Netflix. No matter what I'm doing, it's always on in the corner. So I just try to make sure that I watch positive things or things that I'll learn from, educational sides of things, When I listen to podcasts, I don't listen to girls talking rubbish about boys and love. I talk about, I listen to, like ADHD podcasts, so I can relate to it, or manifestation, or someone that's actually interviewing people and it's completely real and raw. Like, I love Joe Rogan. A lot of people would go, whoa, now that contradicts everything you believe in. But he's just so raw, and anyone that goes on his show speaks rawly, instantly. Even in every other interview, they wouldn't, but with him, they do. So it's all those little things I do, what I'm listening to, what I'm watching, where I go, who I speak to, who I follow on Instagram. Everything like that, I manifest what I want in that way.
Does that require effort, or does that come to you naturally?
Yeah, it requires me being conscious about it. There's often times when I will put rubbish on Netflix, but then the next day I notice it. If I'm watching police dramas all the time, I'll probably end up in some sort of drama because I'm heightened and I'm full of anxiety, and I've been watching something really, really intense, and that's got me all in my head and paranoid and thinking about someone being there when I'm walking in the dark with my dog. But if I've just watched something really positive and inspiring, like, I forgot the film, but it's about a sports guy. I watched it the other day, and it made me so pumped. And I was like, I want to go to the gym. I want to go on a walk. And then I'm going to get really skinny. It's just completely changed my mindset from what I watched. Yeah. So I do notice it happen. So it is very conscious.
Have you ever, this is going to seem like a tangent, but I swear to you it's related. Have you ever seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, a long time ago, I think.
Okay. I'm terrified to watch it just because anytime I've walked by the TV and it's been on with people I've lived with, it just seems really intense. And I'm kind of like, man, if I absorb that, I would need more hours of sleep.
Yeah. That is the best way to absorb it. You do absorb everything around you, so I'm always trying to make sure that I'm absorbing the right things.
And when you're manifesting, like, are a vision board's part of the equation? Are you thinking of specific things, or is it more like, so like in that example, for example, like the anchors would be images, or is it more like you're gravitating yourself towards feelings or senses or things like that?
A bit of both. I do have vision boards, but they are mainly for my whole lifestyle and how I kind of want to see myself at certain points, rather than I want a new car and so I'm going to put my new car on the board. It's just kind of like a basis of my lifestyle. But yeah, definitely more gravitating towards things. When I started with London Girl Community, I was like, oh, well, maybe, kind of have like a little imposter syndrome where I was like, oh, I'm not right for this. And who's going to want to speak to me? Because I'm not actually from London. So then I just started to go to London more and speak to people. Whereas in London, when would you ever walk past someone and say hi? People just don't do it. Like, so I made the effort to kind of just randomly speak to people and be like, hey, I'm doing this. Can I talk to you about this? You haven't got to do anything. Just have a conversation. And gradually to get better. Yeah.
It's funny you say that. I remember going to a wedding in Manchester, and you can tell who's from London and who's not because people line up at the pub. London, not talking. Manchester, how are you? How's your day been? How do you know?
I love people in Manchester. They are really, really chatty. It's so good. And if you've ever been to Edinburgh, you will have 20 conversations from getting out your car to going into a shop.
Oh, I love that. I'm jealous. Cool. And I guess for you now, like weekends, lots of activities, super chilled out, balance of both. How do you approach that?
It kind of depends, sometimes it's completely full of PR events, and then I kind of need to play catch up in the week with the whole self-care or just meal prepping and so on. And then other weekends it's completely chill. I've got nothing to do. And that's really nice because I just go and see all my friends that aren't in the creator community, that don't come to the events, and just trying to balance it. I wouldn't say it always balances out, but yeah, do your best.
Yeah, the self-care days, so they're kind of fluid. There's not like one allocated day, it moves around.
Just constant change every single day. I'll send an email for that business, and then that one, and then that one, and then that one. And I've got a notepad there and a whiteboard there, and it's constant. It's back and forth. I have to just switch on and off. Yeah, I can't. It's so go with them all that if I missed a day on one, I miss out on too much.
Oh, 100%. And Netflix, you mentioned like it's something you really enjoy. What would be your like top 3 Netflix recommendations?
Ooh. I watched something recently. I think it was like The Strangers or something. Or Strangers, I don't know. That was quite good. And then might be the same one that I'm talking of, but
was it with an S or was it The Stranger?
Oh, I don't know.
Where the woman comes up to the guy and she's like, your wife cheated on you. Spoiling.
Yeah. Is it The Watcher? I think it might be The Watcher.
No, actually, it's in the trailer. It's in the trailer. Like the woman approaches the guy and she's like, "Oh, your wife cheated on you. Those kids aren't your kids." That kind of thing.
Yeah. So the Stranger. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one. I want to say Stranded or something, but she's pregnant and I guess like an immigrant from, I can't remember, with her partner, and they end up in different shipping containers trying to get out of the country. And he unfortunately doesn't make it.
Oh, on the water?
Yeah, and she's like literally filling it up, and she's pregnant, and she gives birth in the shipping container and has to like survive and get out some way. And it's incredible. But I was like on the edge of my seat because I was like, you haven't drunk anything in 24 hours. Why hasn't you drunk anything? And then she's like, oh yeah, I need to boil it. And like, you just have all these like moments where you're like, why haven't you done this yet? But it's really good. It's really gripping.
This sounds good. Okay, I'm watching it tonight. Done. Amazing. What's your third one?
It's tough. What did I watch recently? Oh, do you know what? Girls Incarcerated. It's a load of rubbish, but I have been watching that.
What is that?
Oh, I'm not sure what it's called. The OA. There we go. The OA. That's a good one.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Because I need new shows. Across this process, have you got people supporting you? Like, helping you across it?
Just recently, yes. I think before that, and actually, so a bit of context. So these girls that I met through girl dinners and so on, and brought together as a little creator community, we've all had the conversation, like, don't you think your friends are a bit spiteful about you doing content? Like, and none of us really understand why. And unfortunately can only really put it down to maybe jealousy or maybe just you haven't got the same interests anymore. But I think for all of us over all the years is you slowly lose friends because they're like, well, you're going off and you're doing that free thing. And you're like, what's that attitude? Like, you should be happy. You should be me. If you got a promotion at work, I'd be cheering on for you. I'd be going out for dinner and drinks. But because I get a PR event and you don't get invited, you've got some sort of angst against me. And we've all kind of felt that at some point with one or more friends. So very recently, I've had those girls really there for me and really supportive. But in the past, I've definitely felt like very judged for doing it and unsure of why I was being judged.
You bring up something really interesting there with I guess your friends, like, I guess if we were to look at like the kind of industries they work in, are any of them in your space or anything similar at all?
Previous friends, no. No, most of them work 9 to 5s, HR or office jobs, or
Yeah.
just don't work.
Yeah. No, the reason I ask is because so I've accidentally stumbled into working in media, and in media it is very like what you've described. And if you have friends outside of media and they hear about it, they're very like, summer party, Whereas like if you're in media, you kind of get it. It is fun, but it is also work. Like it's not just like, you know.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of empathy towards, you go to these events, but you do have to be switched on. You do have to be like clocking everything.
And I guess, we can't always show that side on our social media. So people will get a misinformed opinion of you. But yeah, like you're saying, when you're in the clique, you kind of know. And then when you don't, you see it for what it isn't, unfortunately. You don't see what it is actually like. It's the same with celebrities, They're pictured all over doing these things, but they have a real life outside of that. Can't judge just from what's online.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess to that point, like, where is the line on that? So, like, are you of the mind, like, yeah, I want to show like some of the, like the normal day to day stuff, or is there like an element of like it needs to be this level of interesting to be posted?
I think I have a good balance of it. I like to show my personal life and day to day life stuff, but I wouldn't show negative things necessarily. Just
Sure.
Because personally, for me, and it's not the same for everyone, but personally for me, if putting them out there wouldn't help me, there's no point. If I've had a really rubbish day, rather than putting it online saying I've had a rubbish day and expecting people to then reach out, I would just reach out to my friends in private. And that's just the person that I am. And it's not because I don't want to show that side of me or I want to portray that I'm constantly positive and nothing bad happens to me. But it's just, again, with manifesting, I don't want to put things out there and be like, oh, I'm so sad and woe for me. If that's not my everyday life, it's probably just a little blip. And I can speak about it privately and then I'll be happy in 5 seconds.
Yeah. No, the reason I ask is because I guess the definition of what is negative changes. To be more specific, like some topics, for example, you touched on ADHD. For me, like I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder maybe like 2 years ago. And initially it felt like, oh, I shouldn't tell people about it. But now actually every time I do, there's always someone who really wants to understand how I found out about it and where they can find out if they have something similar. Yeah. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I would see that as a positive because I share about my ADHD. And since I have, so little background, my sister's a nurse. And the first few times I'd posted it, she messaged me quite what I felt was a bit of a nasty message and was like, you need a diagnosis before you start putting this out there. And I was like, for your information, I have one. I just haven't put out there that I have one. And, a lot of people reached out to me and was like, I also think I have ADHD. I still now get people asking, how did you get diagnosed? Or do you think this is a tendency? And I'm not a doctor, so I can't answer all the questions, but I am there to talk about and moan about, oh, yeah, I hate when my brain does that. Da, 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 da. So, with your anxiety, I would still say share that. That's not a negativity. I'd say more for the negative. It's like, I've had a really bad day. This woman in the supermarket just bumped into me, blah, blah. Little things that don't really matter. Not really change anything. Yeah. Just those sort of things.
Yeah, 100% aligned.
Yeah. Health-wise, never negative because you're always going to help someone that's in the same position.
Yeah, that is like the interesting thing about like social media. Like you might have, let's say, some people like dropping comments on things that aren't like they don't have to agree with your view, but there is also like a lot of empathy. I don't know. Is that something maybe that you've kind of seen or experienced across your comments?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've had a few people reach out and say, why would you post about it and so on, and I'm like, look, it's helping someone, but it's not helping you. So you don't have to engage with that content, And then there's been times when I've seen people's posts and even had a bit of a judgmental mind and thought, well, why are you posting about that? That's not very nice. And then actually I'm like, well, no, it's not a very nice thing that's happened to you. And you need to understand that, she's put it out there to inform people of the signs or symptoms of whatever they've been through, like, and it might be a bit graphic for online or go into a bit too much detail, but everything that's posted online will affect someone. That's kind of how I see it. So good or bad, hopefully good. Yeah.
Totally aligned. The way I've actually found out about the anxiety was Ryan Reynolds posted about it. And he talked about it in an interview about having generalized anxiety disorder, and how it was tied to like certain events in his life. And what he described was kind of like, that is, okay, tick, 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 tick. Cool, let's go get it checked out.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I've got my kind of last question, and I've got like some admin-y kind of questions to finish up on. So my last question is, it kind of starts off with a huge thank you again, for taking the time to connect. And I think something that I'd love to get your thoughts on. You are very busy. You do so much. You have communities, and you're very established. You received like an email from us kind of saying, we don't have the level of resources you have, but we have this idea. What was it that, like, what happened? Like, what was it that you read or felt or that led you to reply and for us to be able to kind of hang out today?
Yeah. I mean, I love local, I love small, and I love, startups and so on. Anyone that's trying to do something positive or that can help creators. I'm always like, oh, what are you doing? It did pique an interest to read your email. But also, I guess, because I get a lot of them, and most of them are very poorly written, or a lot of people just saying, hey, can you do this for us? In exchange, we'll give you this, and it's very like flatline, mass email sent out sort of look to it. But you actually had a bit of a, this is what we want to do. Do you want to chat? And I'm always up for a chat. It's me. So I was like, yeah, why not? Like, why not?
Well, bless you. We really appreciate it. And we're getting pretty close to having our first, I think next week, actually, well, this weekend we'll have the first prototype ready to go. So if you're open to it, I'd love to check back in again, maybe towards the end of next week, and see if you'd love to test it out, give feedback, rip it apart. We don't think it's going to be amazing when it's the first version, but the logic is everything you say, we take notes and we try to make it better. So
it is. Yeah. Well, I looked at the website and I was like, oh, I don't do YouTube because I find it really, really hard, but I would love to do it. And I'm considering trying to. But I was like, oh, that would be so good.
Yeah.
For me as a user, just when I see things, I can shop it, and also just to put it out there, because I used to do a lot of like extra work and things like that. And they are the sort of things that I would look at. Like, don't really care what's going on in the drama, but like, I like that handbag, or I like that way that's set up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Quite excited to get using it.
It's funny you said it's always the things in the background. It's always like background character, great dress. Oh, what's that purse? It's never like the right in the middle.
Yeah. We have no attention span anymore. So we're like, ooh.